All right, let's dive in. A lot of you have been asking for it, so today we're tackling loyalty and disloyalty.
Yeah, a pretty intense subject, right?
Yeah, and our main source material is this book by Dag Heward-Mills.
Loyalty and disloyalty.
Exactly. Loyalty and disloyalty. Now, Heward Mills, he's a pastor, so naturally he uses a lot of examples from the Bible.
Right.
But I think we'll be able to connect those to
Oh, yeah.
everyday situations that we can all relate to,
Yeah.
whether we're talking about
Sure.
leading a team or just navigating friendships.
I think what's really fascinating about this book is even though it's about ministry leadership, these ideas are so relevant for anyone in a leadership position.
Yeah, and one of the things that really struck me is how Heward Mills emphasizes that disloyalty can completely sabotage things from the inside.
Oh, for sure.
Like, it's not always some outside force that brings you down. It's that,
Right.
those little cracks in the foundation.
That's right. It's almost like that fifth column concept they talk about in military strategy,
Oh, yeah.
where the enemy is already inside the city walls.
Exactly, yeah. You think you're secure and protected, but the biggest threat might be someone you trust, someone who's already on the inside.
It's a scary thought.
Yeah.
And he uses a great example in the book, Pastor Joab, in the Bible. He was constantly undermining King David,
Oh, wow.
going against his commands, really creating chaos.
Yeah.
Think about it in a modern context. Having someone on your team who's working toward their own goals, not really aligned with the overall mission.
Yeah. Recipe for disaster.
Right.
And he actually lays out what he calls the 8 stages of disloyalty,
Oh, interesting.
which I thought it was almost like a checklist for self-awareness or
Yes.
for
Yeah.
spotting warning signs in someone else.
Oh, yeah. Because a lot of times these things are happening really subtly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the first stage he lists is independence, which kind of surprised me. I would have thought, like, outright rebellion would be the first stage.
Yeah, you'd think it'd be more dramatic, right?
Right, exactly.
But when you think about it, that independent streak, that doing your own thing, instead
Yeah.
of aligning with the group, that's where it starts.
That makes sense. It's like,
It's that slippery slope.
yeah,
And then it can escalate so quickly from there.
and then it can escalate quickly. So he talks about offense as the next stage.
Oh, yeah.
And, we've all been there, right? Feeling slighted or overlooked or even disrespected.
Oh, yeah.
It can really fester.
Absolutely. It's like a wound that doesn't heal.
Right. And then that can turn into, like, resentment and withdrawal.
And you know what? He uses a great example in the book, Absalom's reaction to King David.
Oh, yeah.
He was so consumed by his own hurt that he ended up rebelling against his own father. I mean, that's an extreme example.
Yeah.
But it shows how powerful these emotions can be.
It shows you just how powerful they can be, yeah. Yeah, and then it's like it can kind of spiral downward from there, right?
Yeah.
He talks about how that withdrawal can become passivity, where you're just not engaged anymore, and then it becomes criticism,
Right.
focusing on what's wrong,
Well,
and then...
it just keeps going downhill from there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he dedicates 2 whole chapters to spotting the subtle signs of disloyalty,
Oh.
which I thought was really interesting.
It's like a field guide.
Yeah, exactly. A field guide, like how to protect yourself
Yeah.
and your work.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because a lot of times you don't even realize it's happening until it's too late.
exactly. Yeah. One that I thought was really interesting was about how people disappear in times of crisis.
Oh, for sure.
Like, you really see who's got your back when the pressure's on,
That's when true loyalty shines through, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what about, like, those people who just kind of keep quiet all the time?
Mm-hmm.
He actually lists that
Right.
as a red flag. Undue quietness.
Mm.
Could that really be a sign of disloyalty?
It's easy to overlook. But think about it. When someone's constantly withdrawing from the team, are they really invested? It might be worth exploring a little further.
Yeah, still waters run deep, they say. And it made me think about that leader that Heward-Mills talks about, who publicly ridiculed his own team in front of an outsider.
Oh, yeah.
That was rough.
Ouch.
Yeah, I think he used that to illustrate, like, how a negative culture can take root
Right.
and spread. So how do you create the opposite?
Mhm.
How do you create a positive culture where loyalty thrives?
He talks about this concept of the north wind.
Okay.
It's a really powerful analogy.
I like it already.
Imagine a strong north wind blowing away those dark, stormy clouds.
Yeah.
That's what a strong, direct leader does. They set a tone that doesn't tolerate negativity, gossip, backbiting.
So it's about setting the standard from the top down. being an example, not being like a dictator.
Right.
Yeah. You know, creating an environment where people feel safe to speak their minds, but also understand there are boundaries.
And it's not just about setting that tone.
Yeah.
It's about actively cultivating that culture.
Yeah.
He uses this phrase, constant pruning.
Constant pruning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a gardener, you got to remove those dead branches, the stuff that's hindering growth. It might seem harsh, but sometimes it's the only way to protect the health of the whole organization.
That's a good point, but it sounds tricky.
Oh, yeah.
How do you know when to prune, and how do you do it with compassion?
Right.
We'll definitely need to unpack that more.
Yeah, there's a balance, for sure.
Yeah.
But he doesn't stop at the north wind and the constant pruning.
Uh-oh.
He throws in one more element that I think you'll find really interesting.
Okay, lay it on me. What's this next piece of the puzzle?
He calls it creating fire.
Okay, wait a minute. Creating fire.
Yeah.
Don't worry, he's not talking about actual arson.
No.
Okay.
No, it's metaphorical.
Okay, good.
It's about using strategic tests and challenges
to
reveal hidden disloyalty.
So you're putting things under pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I can get behind that.
Like stress testing a bridge.
Right.
You know, you don't know how strong something is until you test it.
Yeah. It's like that old saying, out of the frying pan into the fire.
Right.
But in this case, it's more like into the fire to reveal the true gold.
I love that.
But wouldn't that create a culture of fear and anxiety?
Right. Like, it's about balance, right?
Okay.
You don't want people walking on eggshells, but you do want to create opportunities for growth for people to really show what they're made of.
So it's not about setting traps. It's more about providing a crucible where you can refine the loyalty.
Yeah, exactly.
And this doesn't have to apply just to leadership, right? This could apply to...
Oh, absolutely. Any
relationship where trust is important,
Yeah.
Right.
Like, think about those make or break moments in a friendship.
Oh, for sure.
You see who's really there for you.
Yeah, it reveals a lot.
When things get tough. Speaking of revealing true nature...
Yes.
Heward-Mills has this whole chapter called The Judas Phenomenon.
Oh, yeah.
Where he dives into the psychology of betrayal.
This is a fascinating chapter.
I mean, how could one of Jesus's closest disciples turn against him?
Right. It's a story that's both shocking and unsettling.
Yeah, and it really makes you wonder, could this happen to anyone?
Right, to us.
Even to us.
Exactly. And he tells the story about a senior church leader who said, if Jesus had a Judas, you will too.
Wow.
Sobering, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it makes you think. No matter how strong your leadership or how loyal your team is, there's always that possibility.
There is.
So how do we make sense of Judas's betrayal? Was he just a bad apple from the beginning?
Well, Heward-Mills offers some interesting insights.
Yeah.
He asks, was Judas just the odd one out? Did he never truly feel like he belonged? Or did he feel overlooked and underappreciated?
Yeah.
Maybe even a little resentful?
Okay.
With all the attention Jesus got?
Interesting.
Or was he disappointed by the lack of, material comfort in ministry?
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Was he looking for more tangible rewards?
So maybe it wasn't.
It's not always...
It's some big, grand scheme.
It's not some evil mastermind plot.
Right.
Sometimes it's just these little cracks in the foundation, these unmet needs.
Yeah.
These unspoken resentments.
It's a good reminder to be mindful of those dynamics, right?
Absolutely.
Like creating an environment where people feel seen and heard.
Yes, to feel valued and appreciated.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But amidst all this talk of disloyalty and betrayal, what does Heward-Mills have to say about the flip side?
Right.
What does genuine loyalty look like in action?
Well, he has a whole chapter on traits of a loyal assistant.
Oh, okay.
And it's packed with really practical advice that I think is relevant even outside of, a religious context.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Give me the nitty-gritty details.
Okay, so first of all, he talks about the importance of frequent positive mention of the leader.
Okay.
So it's about speaking well of the person you're supporting.
Okay.
Both publicly and privately. Building them up, reinforcing their authority.
You're their champion.
Yes.
What?
You're their advocate. Yeah. You're their cheerleader, even.
Yeah. But it can't just be empty praise, right?
Well, of course not.
It has to be genuine.
It has to come from a place of respect and admiration.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's not just about words.
Okay.
He also talks about quoting the leader's wisdom and teachings.
Okay.
So it's demonstrating that you're paying attention.
Yeah.
That you value their insights.
Yeah.
That you're really taking it to heart.
You're carrying their torch, so to speak.
Yeah. Exactly.
And of course, a truly loyal person defends the leader in their absence.
Yes. That's crucial.
Yeah.
Standing up for them when they're not around to defend themselves.
Yeah.
Addressing criticisms, countering negativity.
Having their back.
Having their back.
Even when they can't see it.
Yes, exactly.
That's where the true loyalty shines through.
And then it's not just about defending them.
Okay.
It's also about welcoming the leader's presence and involvement.
Oh, okay.
Showing genuine enthusiasm for their participation, making them feel valued and appreciated.
Okay. But that's not always easy, is it?
No, it's not.
Sometimes you have to find excuses for the leader's lapses.
Right.
And I want to be clear here. This is not about condoning wrongdoing or covering up serious mistakes.
No, not at all.
This is more about understanding that we're all human.
Right. Everyone makes mistakes.
And even the best leaders make the occasional blunder.
Yeah, it's about offering grace.
Yeah.
And understanding.
Yeah, providing that context so that people can see things in a more forgiving light.
Exactly.
So a loyal person is supportive, they're a good communicator, they're a problem solver, but they're also proactive.
Yes.
Heward-Mills says a loyal assistant steps up when the leader is unavailable.
That's right. Taking initiative, filling in the gaps, making sure things run smoothly, even when the leader's not around.
You're that reliable, dependable right-hand person.
Yes.
Always ready to support the mission.
Exactly.
But there's a delicate balance here.
Oh, for sure.
Right. Because Heward-Mills also says to be careful of seeking to outshine the leader.
That's so important, yeah.
It's about
knowing your role.
Right.
Supporting the leader's vision.
Not trying to build your own empire.
Right. It's not about stealing the spotlight.
It's recognizing that your success is tied to the leader's success.
Exactly. And the best way to shine is to help them shine brighter.
Yeah.
It's that selfless dedication to the shared mission. Understanding that true fulfillment comes from contributing to something larger than yourself.
We've covered so much ground already.
I mean, no.
From the dangers of disloyalty to the impact of a North Wind leader.
Yeah.
The psychology of betrayal.
That's a lot.
But I gotta say, I'm feeling even more fired up about this concept of loyalty.
Who too?
And the best part is we're not done yet.
No, we're not.
I haven't even touched on those practical examples of how to cultivate a culture of loyalty in your own life and work.
That's coming up.
So stay tuned.
See you with us.
For the final part of our deep dive into loyalty and disloyalty.
Where we'll get even more practical and actionable.
All right, so we've talked about the dangers of disloyalty, how to spot the signs, even the psychology of betrayal. But now I'm really curious about, the practical side of things.
Yeah.
How do we actually cultivate a culture of loyalty, whether it's leading a team at work or just building stronger relationships in our personal lives?
That's the million-dollar question. And I think this is where Heward-Mills really shines.
Okay.
He gives some really concrete advice. And even though he's coming from a pastoral perspective, a lot of these principles, I think, can be applied to all sorts of situations.
So where do we begin? What's the first step in building that rock-solid foundation of loyalty?
Well, we already touched on a couple of key elements. Remember the north wind and constant pruning?
Right, yeah. The north wind being that strong, direct leadership that doesn't tolerate negativity, and the constant pruning being willing to remove those elements that are hindering growth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there's another piece to the puzzle that he emphasizes, and that's working with willing people.
Okay. Working with willing people. I like that. What does he mean by that?
It's about ensuring that everyone on your team or in your circle of friends is genuinely on board, committed, not feeling trapped or coerced.
Oh, okay.
When people feel like they have a choice, like they're part of something bigger than themselves, they're much more likely to be loyal and supportive.
Makes sense. So it's about creating a sense of ownership, belonging.
Yes.
Not just demanding blind obedience.
It's about fostering a culture where people feel valued, respected, and empowered to contribute their unique talents and perspectives. It's about collaboration, not coercion.
Less about wielding power, more about inspiring people to come together.
Exactly.
To work towards a shared vision.
And you know what? This principle of working with willing people can even apply to our relationships with ourselves.
Oh, I like that. Tell me more.
Think about it. Are you being true to yourself, following your passions, pursuing goals that align with your values?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you feeling pressured to conform to external expectations, to be someone you're not?
Wow, that's a good question.
Yeah,
It's almost like we need to apply those same principles of loyalty and respect to ourselves,
absolutely.
making sure we're not betraying our own dreams and aspirations.
It's about honoring our own inner compass, listening to that quiet voice within that guides us toward our true north.
Mm.
Because when we're aligned with our authentic selves, we're much more likely to attract people and opportunities that support our growth and well-being.
So true. And that really circles back to that idea of full persuasion
Yes.
that Heward-Mills talks about, being genuinely convinced of what you're supporting.
Absolutely. It's about that deep-seated conviction
Yeah.
that keeps you going, even when others doubt you.
When things get tough.
Exactly.
Knowing your why.
Your purpose.
Yeah.
Your reason for being.
It's that unshakable belief in yourself
Yeah.
that makes you resilient, resourceful.
And unstoppable.
Unstoppable. And you know what? That kind of inner strength and conviction, I think, it's contagious.
It is.
When you're radiating that authenticity, that purpose, it inspires other people to do the same.
It creates a ripple effect.
Yeah, ripple effect.
Yeah.
So if we want to cultivate a culture of loyalty in our lives, it starts with being loyal to ourselves, to our values, to our dreams.
It's about building that foundation of self-respect, self-love, self-belief. Because when we're grounded in our own truth, we're much more capable of creating and sustaining healthy, supportive, and fulfilling relationships with others.
And that's a beautiful thing. It's like we've come full circle. We started by exploring those dangers of disloyalty, the complexities of human nature, but we've arrived at this really empowering message of self-awareness, self-acceptance, self-love.
It's a reminder that loyalty isn't just about external actions or blind obedience. It's about that internal alignment with our values, our purpose, our truest selves.
And that is the key to unlocking a life, I think, of authentic connection, meaningful contribution, and lasting fulfillment.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into loyalty and disloyalty, I encourage you to reflect on your own journey, examine the relationships in your life, and to consider how you can cultivate a culture of loyalty that starts from within.
Thank you for joining us on this exploration. We hope you've gained some valuable insights, some practical tips, and maybe even a few aha moments along the way.
And remember, the journey doesn't end here.
Keep diving deep, keep learning, keep growing, and keep building those relationships that matter most.